Fighting against the fallout of instant rock star success, today's confessional songwriter wanted nothing more than to hide from the spotlight. He had a debut album that was blowing up on the charts. His songs were dominating radio play, and all of a sudden, strangers were camping out on his lawn, and they were taunting him in the streets. Overwhelmed by the pressures, fame, he wondered if he should quit music altogether, and he actually did for a while. But after a stint holding out, working at a regular job away from the public eye, he came back with another hit song, and once again he captivated a generation. This is a comeback story that will give you reason to believe that maybe this year could be better than the last. Coming up on Professor of Rock. Hey music junkies, Professor of Rock, always here to celebrate the greatest artists and the greatest songs of all time. You know, if you remember the anticipation of your first few live concerts from the point that you got your tickets to a few seconds before the start of the show, where the singer or the band walked out on stage, you're going to dig this channel. It's all about nostalgia. Make sure that you subscribe below right now. Click that bell so that you know when our interviews are live. And we also have a Patreon. Your support there helps us to get more interviews and keep it a daily channel. You know, a few bands in the 90s got bigger faster than the Counting Crows. We just talked about it a few months ago. Their 1993 debut, August and Everything After, shot up the Billboard album chart like a rocket. Finally peaked at number 4, thanks to the success of number 2 alternative hit Mr. Jones and number 7 Round Here. This folk rock record mesmerized U.S. audiences, sold 7 million copies in just 3 years. Of course, Mr. Jones was everywhere at the time. It flooded the airwaves and it jumped in heavy rotation on MTV. This catchy, happy-go-lucky tune captured lead singer Adam Duritz's wishing, his longing to become a rock star. And it was actually pretty prophetic, as we talked about in the last piece. I mean, when he sings about staring right back at himself from on television, well, that would actually happen a lot. The only problem is that Adam Duritz didn't know what he was getting into. After a memorable Saturday Night Live appearance and then gracing the cover of Rolling Stone, actually with the label the biggest new band in America, the Counting Crows had become a household name by that time. With the band spending the better part of 1994 on the road, they were more or less unaware of just how big they were getting. After he returned home from Europe to Berkeley late in the year, could immediately tell that something had definitely changed. Adam Duritz would say about it, I feel like we really got launched up into the sky at one point. I mean, much further than we expected or even maybe wanted at the time to go. A lot of the adoration and the fame, which is great in some ways, it came to me, and a lot of the pressure and the hysteria too, and I definitely came crashing down. Actually, when Adam Duritz returned home, there were people camped out on his lawn, and his street had turned into a full-on party. And then one night, while Adam was in his living room with bandmate Dan Vickery, he realized that they were all there for him. All of a sudden, he heard some kid say, "There he is, he's right there." It was as if they were at the drive-in and Counting Crows was the movie on the screen. After that, Adam Duritz couldn't go anywhere in Berkeley without getting recognized instantly. And the attention overload, it wasn't all adulation either. At one point, for 7 days in a row, strangers walked up to him on the street, and out of the blue, they'd say something awful like, "Hey, are you Adam Duritz?" "Yeah." "You're in the Counting Crows?" "Yeah." "Man, you ought to be counting your blessings. You guys suck and you're so successful." Dang. It really started to freak him out. How could someone who had never met him come up to him on the street and start just spewing insults? Kind of like being on YouTube. It was then that Adam Duritz realized he needed a break from music. So he put Counting Crows on hold, stopped writing songs, and he quit playing them as well. At the urging of his friend Johnny Depp, Adam fled San Francisco for LA, and there he frequented Depp's Sunset Strip nightclub, the infamous Viper Room. And then one night while he was there, someone asked him to cover the bar for him, he realized that he was pretty good at it. So for a while, that's exactly what he did. He was a bartender. There, Duritz also connected with a lot of other celebrities. For instance, he rented out a home in Laurel Canyon from Christina Applegate. He also dated actress Jennifer Aniston. Probably most people know that. Your job's a joke, you broke. Your love life's the old way. Which, looking back, seems like the last thing you'd want to do if you didn't want fame. But I digress. One night while at the Viper Room, this is what happened. Some well-meaning friends lied and told Adam that Aniston had a crush on him. And then they told her that Adam had a crush on her. Sounds a little like junior high, I know, but Adam actually had no idea who Jennifer Aniston was, believe it or not. He'd been on the road while Friends was getting popular, and he'd never actually seen it. So the press has made a lot out of Adam's celebrity relationships over the years. But where the tabloids saw a juicy story, Adam has maintained that it was never a really big deal, looking back on his 2.5-week relationship with Jennifer Aniston. That's all it was, 2.5 weeks. He had only good things to say about her, but they were night and day different from each other. So though it was exciting for a few days, after that it was just difficult. The two would stay friends, but it wasn't like he was writing any songs about her. Again, it was a 2.5-week relationship. Then later in 1997, Adam also dated Aniston's friend's co-star Courtney Cox after she starred in one of his music videos, which we're going to talk about. Remember, the last thing that she said as you were leaving. But ultimately, he preferred people reviewing his albums rather than his love life. His music was what he wanted to be known for, after all, and after his much-needed break in 1995, early part of that year, Adam felt better about coping with fame. Later, he said he had no regrets, even calling his success a once-in-a-million miracle. Fame just took some time to adjust to. But by May of 1995, Adam and the band were ready to get back to writing new material. By the winter of 96, they were ready to record. So after hiring producer Gil Norton, Counting Crows rented a Hollywood Hills mansion and they got to it. Their second album, Recovering the Satellites, has often been characterized as Adam's struggling with fame record. And considering how Adam reacted after August and everything after, I asked if you wanted a sequel to the story of Mr. Jones, and you said yes, so here it is. No doubt coping with his newfound notoriety is a leading theme of this new album. But when you consider the millions of listeners who have bought the album and loved it, I have to think it goes deeper than that. After all, most of them are non-famous. I think one reason so many people are moved by this music is because they see themselves in Adam Duritz's songwriting. Adam Duritz pours detail after detail from his life into Recovering the Satellites, which is my favorite Counting Crows album. He explores universal themes within the nutshell of writing about his own life, struggling with faith, dealing with an identity crisis, or just wanting to be loved. People discover themselves in this jukebox poetry, if you will. When talking about his songs, Adam acknowledges that they all come back to him. Making songs intimate makes them relatable, of course. A big proponent of using specific details in his songcraft, Duritz often uses proper names, places, and distinct personal experiences to tell his stories. It keeps his music from feeling vague, and it really helps to draw us in. There's so many great songs on this album, but my favorite is the album's melancholy penultimate track and today's featured song, A Long December. A long December, and there's reason to believe. I know that A Long December is the big single from the album. Actually, it wasn't a single, but I'll tell you why. Now, as we break down the song, I do want to thank our sponsor, Zenni Eyewear. Today, if you go to Zenni.com, they have the fall's newest arrivals, which feature fresh styles and new colors at prices you'll love. Check it out today at Zenni.com. I can't remember. So, A Long December is an emotional ballad that really won the world over with its blend of melancholy, regret, and hope for the future. Unsurprisingly, it was inspired by Adam's attempts to come to grips with stardom. And it's one more night in Hollywood. But also playing into this composition was the fact that one of Adam's closest friends was hit by a car. That happened in the middle of December 1995. It was just as the band was beginning to record Satellites. A true friend, Adam spent the whole month, along with January and February, visiting his friend in the hospital. And those visits really became a part of his daily routine. After starting his day at the hospital, he would then head down to the studio in the afternoon and play with the band late into the night. Adam called this a weird and stressful time. Recounting how all this played into the song, Adam said, "One day I just left the studio. It's about 2 a.m, and I went to my friends Samantha and Tracy's house, which is Hillside Manor. That's what we call it anyway. It's just a little house, and I sat there talking with them. I actually woke him up, got him out of bed, and made him talk to me for a couple of hours. And then when I went home to my house, I wrote this song between 4 a.m. and 6 a.m., and then I went to the hospital the very next day."
If you think that I could be forgiven.
When Adam returned to the band's home studio later in the day, he played along December for the rest of the band, the rest of the guys. And then after just 6 takes, they nailed the song. Written and recorded in a day's time, the song was played completely live, which is maybe somewhat ironic since it packs what feels like an entire winter season into its 4 minutes and 57-second runtime. The song starts out with Adam singing the hopeful declaration, "A long December, and there's reason to believe maybe this year will be better than the last."
Maybe this year will be better than the last.
It's a sentiment that he will repeat again later on, and one that really holds the whole song together.
Long December, and there's reason to believe.
Throughout its verses, Adam alludes to a litany of regrets to help us understand why the close of this year feels like it will never end. Utilizing brilliant and just descriptive phrasing, Adam's words are more like brushstrokes, creating pictures that are just as real to us as it must have been for him.
The smell of hospitals in winter.
The smell of hospitals in winter, oysters with no pearls.
A lot of oysters, but no pearls.
Looking across a crowded room to see the way light attaches to a girl. I mean, it is just exceptional lyricism, no matter what you think of Counting Crows.
The way that light attaches to a girl.
Commenting on that last line, Adam said, "That is a painting of specificity, what it felt like," which is like I was really starting to care for her, but it is specifically what I noticed at that moment, light attaching to her across the room and how much she became the only thing that I was looking at. That tells you more about feelings than I started to have a crush on this other girl. Then as Adam gears up into the chorus, you can feel this haunted heart aching. The monotony of another day, wishing he could be forgiven.
Wish you would. Na, 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 na.
Life without his girl, it's sucked the meaning and joy out of his life.
It's one more day up in the canyon.
And even though it happened between Adam and this girl, I mean, it remains elusive from a lyrical standpoint. We're still right there with him, filling in the gaps from our own experience. That's why I think Counting Crows did so well. Who hasn't been there? Who doesn't know what it's like to feel regret, to long for someone you love, to wish to be forgiven? Just universal themes that we've all experienced.
Yeah, I think you should.
So as Duritz wraps up the final chorus, lamenting one more day up in the canyon and one more night in Hollywood.
One more day up in the canyon.
He leaves us with one more mystery, singing, "It's been so long since I've seen the ocean. I guess I should."
So long since I've seen the ocean.
Whatever the ocean might mean to Adam Duritz, is clear that it has some special significance to him, and that in turn serves as a thought-provoking metaphor for the rest of us, To me, it's always been like, what dreams in our own lives have we been ignoring for so long? And it's time to do something about that. That's how I've read into it.
Guess I should.
And then we head into that outro as Adam sings the kind of the Hey Jude part, right? The na-na-na, yeah. It's just one more chance to reflect on this really great song. Reflecting on that night when Adam wrote A Long December after his long talk with his friends, he said, I was just realizing as I drove home from their house that, okay, I don't have everything and I'm not the happiest person in the world, but I have a life and there's possibilities.
Maybe this year will be better than the last.
In fact, Duritz would say that A Long December is about looking back on your life, seeing what's changed, and for once looking forward and thinking, you know what? Things are going to change for the better. Maybe this year will be better than the last, and that's where A Long December leaves you as Adam's final, yeah, as that fades into silence. Maybe things can get better. Maybe when January comes, it can all turn around. If only we could have that kind of hope that we have on New Year's Eve into January 1st. Anyway, the music video for A Long December, that was actually directed by Lawrence Carroll and features Friends actress Courtney Cox, like I said before. Apparently, that's how she and Adam met before they started dating.
So hold on to these moments as they pass.
It's filmed in Hollywood, and then the video was first added to MTV and VH1 the week ending December 1st, 1996. It's the same time it was released as a single, which is very appropriate. Long December in December.
And it's one more.
In the US, A Long December was ineligible to chart on the Billboard Hot 100 since it was actually never released as a physical single. The song instead appeared on the Hot 100 Airplay chart, peaked at number 6 in February of 1997, and then it spent 29 weeks on the chart overall. It also went to number 9 on the mainstream rock chart. It went to number 7 on the mainstream top 40. Went to number 5 on the alternative airplay chart as well. And it was number 1 on the adult alternative chart. There's lots of charts. That's where that started. Around the rest of the world, the song saw less success. It only reached number 86 in Australia, number 68 in the Netherlands, and went to 62 in the UK. But back in North America, it did reach number 1 in Canada.
I can't remember all the times I tried.
This song has always resonated really deeply within me due to the song's release during a very difficult, I would even say traumatic time in my very early 20s. I had been living in Nashville, Tennessee for almost a year and a half on a service commitment that I had volunteered for. I loved Tennessee and the people that I was around. Sadly, I had become gravely ill the first few months I was there. I was experiencing severe stomach problems, issues, multiple bleeding ulcers. I wasn't able to keep anything down. And over the next year, I was so sick, I was in and out of hospitals, and I ended up losing like 80 pounds. And they couldn't figure out what was wrong with me. At that exact moment, I was around 117 pounds, which is pretty dangerous for someone who's 6'3". I was physically exhausted to the point where I could barely get out of bed. A doctor ordered me to go home to Idaho to get better. And as I arrived home and I struggled with, the inner demons of self-doubt and the guilt of not being able to finish the commitment that I had made. And then I got broken up with by my girlfriend via telegram. Man, I was down. I was lonely. I was depressed. I was completely exhausted. Felt like a total failure for not being able to function in any capacity. I mean, anyone who's ever experienced, health issues like this will understand. I felt hopeless and helpless. I remember I was in the waiting room of a hospital a few weeks after I'd come home, was about to go in and see a specialist, and this song came over the loudspeaker. As the haunting piano swept across my psyche, and Adam Duritz sang about the smell of hospitals in winter and the feeling that it's all a lot of oysters and no pearls, and it really was the winter.
The smell of hospitals in winter.
I sat there in that little room and I just broke down. I began to weep uncontrollably. It just came all at once. It seemed to me that Adam Duritz had written and recorded this song just for me. And though it would take many months to get to a place where I could function halfway normally, and even though I still have major stomach issues, even now, decades later, that song at that moment saved me.
A lot of oysters, but no pearls.
It started the healing process. I was able to forgive myself. I was able to accept that my best was good enough, even if I'd failed. That's why music is such a lifeline. Because just when we feel that all hope is lost, a song will come on that puts a mirror in front of us and it shows us our true selves, makes us dig deep into our souls and prepares us for those truths that we may not have been able to face otherwise. So I have to say to Adam Duritz, I know that this song was inspired by your own experience, but you gifted it to the world and magically it became the perfect song for my trial. And I'm sure 1,000 other people in their trials. I just have to say thank you. Thank you for coming on the radio at the exact moment that I needed it. Thank you for always reminding me that maybe this year will be better than the last.
Yeah.
Leave us a comment about Counting Crows and Along December. What do you remember about this song? Did you feel like you were right there with Adam Duritz going through the longest month of your life? Actually, I should have ended that as for reminding us, not reminding me, but reminding us that maybe this year will be better than last. I know that a lot of people feel that way. If you'd like to see our companion piece on Mr. Jones, we'll link to it. It's a perfect lead-in to this story of this song. Also, if you enjoy our content, make sure that you subscribe below so you never miss out on our daily videos. Share an experience below about how a song has saved you. I love to hear these stories. Until next time, 3 chords and the truth, my friends.